Listen up. This is not just another video to pass the time. This is not about quick tips or easy life hacks. This is a mirror. A mirror that forces you to look at the person staring back and face the hard truths you have been hiding from for years. We are going to talk about something that hurts, but it is the kind of pain that finally wakes you up. We are going to talk about why only 1% of people reach the top, and why the other 99% stay stuck in a loop of excuses, regret, and wasted potential. This video is not here to make you feel good. It is here to shake you. It is here to challenge the soft version of you and push you into a war. Not a war with your neighbors or the world, but a war between you and you. You say you want success. You say you want freedom. You say you want to be different. But look at your days. You live exactly like everyone else. You choose what is easy. You quit when things get tough. You hide from pressure. You talk about big changes, but you never actually commit to them. The truth that nobody tells you is this: you will never change your life until you change who you are. This transformation does not start with reading a few quotes or feeling inspired for 5 minutes. It starts when you face the raw, painful reality of your own life. In this video, I am going to show you 10 brutal, honest truths about why the top 1% make it, while 99% stay broke, confused, and lost until the very end. These truths are not sugar-coated. They are not meant to be pretty. They are designed to wake up the strongest, most disciplined version of you. That version is still inside, just buried under laziness, fear, and endless scrolling. Today, we are going to dig it out. If you are ready to leave the 99% behind and become the person you were born to be, stay with me. This is where everything changes. And by the way, by watching this, you are not just building your mindset, you are building your English skills too. You are learning to listen deeply and feel the meaning behind every word. Let us begin. Lesson 1. The Trap of Comfort. Let us get one thing straight. Success is not about how talented you are. It is about how much discomfort you can handle. It is about your ability to stay calm when things are boring, stay focused when things are hard, and keep going when you are in pain. But the 99%? They want the opposite. They want a life that feels good in the moment, not a life that is actually good for their future. What happens when they feel a little bit of stress? They hit the snooze button on their alarm. They scroll through their phones for hours. They eat junk food to hide their sadness. They run away from tough conversations. They choose short-term happiness over long-term victory. They tell themselves, "I am too tired today. I deserve a break. I will start tomorrow." But tomorrow never comes, and one day turns into no day. You need to understand that comfort is a silent trap. It feels safe, but it is stealing your future. You say you want to be wealthy, but you keep buying things you do not need. You say you want to be healthy, but you skip your workouts every single week. You say you want to speak better English, but you are too shy to open your mouth and practice. You want to grow, but you are terrified of leaving what feels familiar. Every time you choose comfort, you become a little bit weaker. And the weaker you get, the harder life feels. When life feels hard, you run back to comfort. It is a dangerous cycle. It is a slow, quiet way to lose your potential. You are alive, but you are not really living. The 1% are different. They choose growth even when it hurts. They train when they are exhausted. They study when they are broke. They keep pushing when nothing seems to be working. They know that success does not feel like a warm blanket. It feels like loneliness. It feels like pressure. It feels like doubt. It feels like every part of your brain is screaming at you to quit, but they do not stop. They know that pain is the price you pay for transformation. Think about two people. Mark wants to start a small business. He reads books and watches videos, but every time a challenge appears, he quits and goes back to watching movies. 5 years later, Mark is exactly where he started. Then there is Sarah. She also wants to start a business. She knows it will be difficult. She knows she will face rejection and long nights. She goes through the hard times, but she never gives up. 5 years later, Sarah is financially free and respected. Why? Not because she is smarter, but because she chose growth while Mark chose comfort. You have to decide right now. Do you want your life to feel easy, or do you want your life to be legendary? Because you cannot have both. Lesson 2. Motivation is a myth. Discipline is the key. Here is one of the biggest lies you have ever been told. I will get to work once I feel motivated. I am just waiting for the right moment. I do not feel like doing it today. This is the language of the 99%. It is a dangerous trap that keeps people broke, unhealthy, and stuck in the same place for years. Understand this. Motivation is just a feeling. It is like the weather. It comes and goes. You cannot trust it, and you certainly cannot build a legendary life on it. Think about it. What happens on the mornings when you wake up feeling sad, tired, or lost? What happens when you have zero desire to work? Do you just hit pause on your dreams? Do you wait for a magical feeling to return? That is exactly what the average person does. They start with a burst of energy, but they quit as soon as the fire fades. They write the first page of their story and never finish the book. They join the gym and stop going after 3 days. They think motivation will carry them to the finish line, but it never does. The truth is, your dream does not care how you feel. Success does not check your mood. Discipline is the only thing that will save you when the motivation disappears. The 1% know this better than anyone. They do not rely on feelings, they rely on decisions. Imagine it is 5 a.m. It is pitch black outside and freezing cold. You are exhausted because you did not sleep well. You set an alarm to work on your goals, but the 99% voice in your head starts whispering, "You can do it later. One day off will not hurt. You deserve to rest." So you roll over and go back to sleep. That is the moment you lose. But the 1%, they feel that same exhaustion, they feel that same cold, but they get up anyway. They know that the pain of staying the same is far worse than the pain of waking up. They put on their shoes and get to work. Not because they feel like it, but because they gave their word to themselves. That is true discipline. And here is the secret. Once they start moving, they feel a surge of power. There is no better feeling in the world than winning a battle against your weaker self. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It is waking up and saying, I might not control everything in this world, but I will control my actions today. I might be scared, but I will show up. I might be tired, but I will keep my promise. If you want to join the 1%, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for inspiration to strike. Build a structure. Build a routine. Be your own coach, your own parent, and your own drill sergeant. You do not need to be special to do this. You just need to stop negotiating with yourself every single morning. The more you listen to your feelings, the more they will control your life. But the more you practice discipline, the more you own your future. Lesson 3. Silence is the sound of success. This next truth is going to sting, but it is necessary. One of the clearest signs that you are not actually serious about your goals is how much you talk about them. The 99% are experts at planning. They love saying things like, "I am thinking about starting a side hustle. I might move to a new city." Or, "One day I will write that book." They love the sound of their own voice, and they love the attention they get when they announce their plans. But soon never actually arrives. Why? Because talking gives them a cheap hit of dopamine. It makes them feel like they have already accomplished something, even when they have not moved a single inch. The 1% are different. They do not broadcast their moves. They do not post every detail on social media, and they certainly do not wait for applause. They operate in total silence. They work behind the scenes, grinding away while everyone else is busy showing off. They let their results do the shouting for them. They are not performers, they are builders. Imagine two people in a race. Person A is at the starting line, shouting to the crowd, "I have been training for months. I have the best gear. Watch me dominate this." He is flexing, smiling, and soaking up the attention. Person B says nothing. He is focused, eyes locked on the finish line. He does not care about the crowd. He just starts running. Who are you going to bet on? You bet on person B every single time. Real winners do not need to make an announcement. Their life becomes the announcement. If you have been stuck in the same spot for months, ask yourself, are you taking bold, real-world action every single day? Or are you just trapped in the illusion of movement? Most people confuse being busy with making progress. They confuse talking with doing. They confuse making a plan with actually executing it. Do not be that person. Stop telling everyone what you are going to do. Start doing it so aggressively, so consistently, and so well that you never have to explain yourself to anyone. You do not need more plans. You need more movement. You do not need motivation. You need a warlike focus. You do not need people to cheer for you. You need to be obsessed with your own growth. You do not need to feel ready. You need to feel responsible for your own life. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be relentless. Silence your mouth and start working. Lesson 4. Fear of regret over fear of judgment. Let us be real for a second. Most people do not live their own lives. They live a version of their life that has been edited by other people's opinions. They are terrified of what their friends will think, afraid of being laughed at, and paralyzed by the possibility of being judged or rejected. They are essentially prisoners, but not of a jail cell. They are prisoners of public opinion. They wear masks just to fit in. They shrink their ambitions so they do not stand out, and they hide their true dreams to satisfy people who do not even have their own lives figured out. They call this playing it safe, but in reality, it is just a slow way to kill your spirit. Here is what the 1% have figured out. Regret is a much heavier burden than judgment. Judgment is just noise from people who are too scared to try anything themselves. But regret? Regret is the voice that wakes you up at 2 a.m. and asks, "What if?" It is the pain of knowing you had the talent, the drive, and the opportunity, but you let fear make the final call. The 1% are not fearless. They just fear the right thing. They do not care about being embarrassed. They do not care about looking stupid while they are learning. They fear waking up 10 years from now in the exact same spot, with the exact same excuses, and realizing they are out of time. Take the story of Elena. She had a beautiful voice and dreamed of sharing it with the world. But every time she thought about posting her music online, the fear kicked in. What if people hate it? What if they make mean comments? So she stayed silent. She waited 1 month, then 6, then 5 years. She watched other people with less talent build careers simply because they were brave enough to show up. 10 years later, she watched someone else succeed using the same style she had always wanted to pursue. That is when she felt the most painful sting in the world, the thought of what could have been. This is happening to millions of people right now. You are not too old, and you are not too late. But every single time you let the fear of judgment control your next move, you drift further away from the life you were meant to live. The 1% do not silence their dreams just to keep others comfortable. They are too busy building a life that people will eventually respect, even if they do not understand it right now. So stop asking yourself, what if they laugh at me? Start asking, what if I die with my dreams still locked inside me? That regret is the only pain you will never recover from. You can either be misunderstood for a few years while you build your legacy, or you can be invisible forever. You can either be judged for daring to become more, or you can be forgotten for choosing to stay the same. Choose your pain wisely. Lesson 5. Master your mind, or it will master you. This one goes deeper into the shadows, because this is where the real war is fought. Most people think they are the ones in control of their thoughts, but the truth is actually the opposite. Their thoughts are in control of them. They wake up and their mind immediately starts the attack. It says things like, "You are too tired. You are not good enough. No one is going to listen to you." Or, "What if you fail?" And the worst part? They believe every single word. They never stop to question that inner voice. They live inside a mental prison where their own thoughts act as the guards, and their potential is locked away as the prisoner. They overthink, they doubt, and they blow small problems out of proportion. Because of this constant mental noise, they become paralyzed. They never take the first step. They never finish what they start, and they never change. The 1% operate differently. They do not accept every thought that pops into their head. They train their mind like a soldier trains a weapon. When a negative thought enters, they challenge it. They question the doubt. They override the fear with logic and strength. They do not live by default. They live by design. They understand one fundamental rule. Your mind is either your greatest asset or your most dangerous enemy. Think about a person standing on the edge of a high diving board. They want to jump. They know the water is safe, and they have seen others do it. But their mind starts flooding them with images. What if I hit my head? What if I look stupid? What if I drown? So they freeze. They stand there, shaking, until they eventually walk away. Now multiply that moment by 1,000. That is how most people live their entire lives. They are stuck, not because of the reality of the situation, but because of imaginary fears they have built inside their own heads. They are drowning in a pool they never even had the courage to jump into. The 1%? They feel that same fear, but they jump anyway. They know that if you do not command your mind, it will command you, and it will eventually destroy your potential. So how do you train your mind like the 1%? First, start observing your thoughts without believing them. When you feel a negative pattern, write it down. Practice speaking power into your life every single day. Stop feeding your brain fear, distractions, and constant comparisons. Instead, feed it discipline, peace, and clarity. Remember, your thoughts are not facts. Your fears are not reality. Your current limits are not permanent. They only hold power if you keep repeating them. Final truth here. Most people will never lose to the world. They will lose to themselves. And that is the most painful loss of all, because you can never escape your own mind. It follows you everywhere you go. So you better make it your strongest ally, or it will become your worst enemy. Lesson 6. Stop chasing speed, start chasing mastery. Here is another reason why so many people never reach their potential. They are obsessed with quick wins. They want the rewards, but they absolutely hate the process required to get them. They want the muscles without the heavy lifting. They want the successful business without the years of struggle. They want the dream without the discipline. And because they want instant results, they give up the moment things get difficult or slow. That is why the 99% fail. They are looking for a microwave life, but greatness is a slow-cooked masterpiece. The 1% have a totally different mindset. They are not playing for the next 30 days. They are playing for the next 30 years. They do not chase speed. They chase mastery. They understand that real growth is invisible for a long time before it suddenly becomes unstoppable. Think about bamboo. When you plant a bamboo seed, you see absolutely nothing for the first 3, 4, or even 5 years. To an outsider, it looks like nothing is happening. People might even laugh and say you are wasting your time. But beneath the surface, that bamboo is busy building a massive, deep root system. Then, in the 5th year, it suddenly explodes, growing 60 feet in just a few weeks. Now ask yourself, did it grow in those few weeks, or was it preparing for years? Your goals are exactly the same. If you quit in your first month or your first year, you will never see your explosion. You will never get the reward because you walked away before your roots were strong enough to hold your success. Most people quit because they cannot see immediate results. The 1% succeed because they fall in love with the grind. They do not chase the feeling of finally arriving. They live for the feeling of becoming. They work in silence. They repeat the boring habits, and they stay consistent even when nobody is clapping for them. They know this secret. The process is not something you just endure to reach success. The process is the success. If you are watching this and feeling stuck, remember that you are not behind. You are just in the early stages of building your foundation. If you quit now, you will spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been. So stop chasing the fast lane. Chase the deep lane. Chase mastery. Chase solid, long-term growth. When the world finally sees you rise, they will call it luck or talent, but you will know the truth. You will know it was the result of time, sweat, endless repetition, and your refusal to quit. Lesson 7. Stop consuming, start creating. Let us face a hard truth. Most people are professional consumers, not creators. They spend hours every single day watching other people live out their dreams, yet they do absolutely nothing to build their own. They binge-watch interviews, scroll through success stories, and click on motivational clips. They will comment "fire" or say "that is inspiring." But the moment the video ends, they go right back to their old habits. They are addicted to the dopamine hit of watching success, but they are allergic to the actual work required to achieve it. The 99% are constantly looking for entertainment to fill their time. They use content to escape from their own boredom. But the 1%? They are students of the game. They do not scroll aimlessly, they study. They do not just listen to advice, they apply it the second they finish the video. They are not chasing a quick feeling, they are chasing elevation. Imagine two people watching a guide on how to build self-discipline. The first person feels a rush of excitement, leaves a comment, and then immediately opens another app to scroll through photos of celebrities. Back to the loop, back to zero. That is the 99%. Now imagine the second person. They watch the same video, but they take notes. They write down a new daily routine. They set their alarm for 5 a.m. They take action. That is the 1%. The difference is never the information you have. It is the intention behind how you use it. Ask yourself, are you watching hundreds of videos but finding yourself in the exact same place? Are you confusing being informed with being transformed? Most people scroll because they are bored, but the 1% study because they are hungry. They read books, they rewatch lessons, they teach what they learned, and they execute it until it becomes their reality. Your future is not built on what you know. It is built on what you actually do every single day. The 99% consume content to feel better for a minute. The 1% create a new life by doing the work. Stop being a spectator in your own story. Stop being just a viewer of other people's greatness. From this moment on, stop watching and start building something legendary. Lesson 8. Protect your focus like your life depends on it. Let us start with a simple question. Where does your time actually go? If I gave you a detailed report of your last 24 hours, what would it show? How many hours did you lose to scrolling through social media, watching random clips, gossiping, or comparing your life to people who do not even know you exist? Most people are not lazy. They are just deeply distracted. And in our modern world, distraction is the new form of destruction. It does not ruin you overnight. It ruins you slowly, quietly, and without warning. One day you wake up and realize you have spent years watching others chase their dreams while yours have been rotting in your pocket. Think about the math of distraction. If you check your phone for just 5 minutes every hour, that is 40 minutes a day. That adds up to over 200 hours a year. Now ask yourself, what could you have achieved if you gave those 200 hours to your health, your business, your language skills, or your mindset? You could have learned a new skill, built a side project, or completely transformed your physical health. But instead, that time is gone. It was burned in the black hole of endless notifications and meaningless content. And every time you tell yourself it is just 5 minutes, you are actually throwing away a piece of your future. The 1% know this. They do not just avoid distraction, they go to war against it. They have strict rules about their time. They delete apps that steal their focus, they block out noise, and they schedule their day like a blueprint for greatness. Why? Because they understand that focus is not a gift, it is a discipline. In the game of success, the most focused person always wins. So, how do you start winning? Ask yourself 2 life-changing questions every single day. First, is this activity helping me become the person I want to be? Second, what is it costing me to keep doing this? If the answer is no, walk away immediately. Every hour you give to nonsense is an hour stolen from your future, your family, and your legacy. You are not just wasting time, you are trading your greatness for garbage. That is not a life, that is a trap. You were not born to be a slave to a screen. You were not born to wake up, scroll, sleep, and repeat until you die. You were born to build, to focus, and to own your hours like your life depends on it, because it does. Lesson 9. Failure is your greatest teacher. Let us be honest, everyone fails. Everyone hits the floor. Everyone feels the sting of rejection, fear, and embarrassment at some point on their path. But here is the massive difference between the crowd and the few who actually make it. The 99% take failure as a personal attack. They see a mistake as proof that they are not good enough. They try one thing, it does not work instantly, and they immediately say, maybe I am just not cut out for this. Maybe I should play it safe. So they quit, they shrink, and their dreams die. Not because the dream was impossible, but because they lacked the guts to fail enough times to earn the win. The 1%? They expect failure. They study it. They even plan for it because they understand a simple truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the tuition you pay to finally graduate into success. They do not cry when it hurts. They bleed, they learn, they pivot, and they rise. Think about the inventor Thomas Miller. He spent years trying to create a new type of battery. He failed over 500 times. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail so much, he simply said, "I did not fail 500 times. I just discovered 500 ways that did not work." That is the mindset you need. Every no is just one step closer to your yes. Every closed door is just training you to find the one that will open. Every time you fall, you get a little bit harder to break the next time. Look at your own life. How many times have you walked away from a goal just because it did not happen fast enough? How many times have you given up after one bad result? The 1% stay in the fight long enough for the breakthrough to happen because they know that you do not fail when you fall. You only fail when you decide not to get up again. Most people stop after 2 or 3 attempts. The average success usually takes 30 tries. The legendary ones? They have failed 300 times more than the average person has even tried. So if you are currently failing, good. That means you are alive. You are in the arena. You are in motion. Do not you dare stop. Do not you dare say, maybe this is not for me. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. If you want to be in the 1%, stop quitting like the 99%. Fail harder, fail faster, fail with a purpose. And when the world thinks you are finally done, get up again. Keep getting up until the world runs out of ways to stop you. Lesson 10. The power of final decision. Let us finish with a question that seems simple, but carries the weight to change the entire trajectory of your life. Have you truly, deep down, decided who you are going to become? I do not mean just thinking about it, wishing for it, or hoping it happens by luck. I am asking if you have made a total, soul-level decision. Most people never reach this point. They live in a state of almost. Almost serious, almost ready, almost committed. They walk through life with one foot in their dream and the other stuck in their comfort zone. That is exactly why they never cross the finish line. Decisions create your reality, but indecision destroys it. The 99% never fully commit. They always keep a back door open just in case things get hard. They say things like, "I will give it a shot," or, "If it works out, I will keep going." That is not a decision. That is a soft attempt. And soft attempts never produce hard, legendary results. The 1%? They burn the boats. They erase Plan B. They draw a line in the sand and declare, "This is who I will become, and I will not stop until I get there." It does not matter how long it takes, how many times I fail, or how difficult the road gets. I am not stopping. I am not quitting. I am not breaking. That is not just a goal. That is a spiritual war cry. Once you make that kind of decision, the universe shifts. Your habits align, and your entire life bends toward that outcome. Think about 2 people trying to get in the best shape of their lives. Person A buys some new gear, follows a few fitness influencers, and says, "Let me try this for a few weeks to see how I feel." 3 months later, that person has disappeared. They got busy, they got tired, and they quit. Person B says, "This is no longer about how I look. This is who I choose to become. There is no going back." 3 months later, person B is still showing up, still fighting, still rising. Why? Because the decision was final. There was no room left for excuses, only execution. You see, most people are addicted to starting, but they are allergic to actually deciding. They keep cycling through new habits and new routines, but nothing sticks because deep down, they are still the same person. No method will ever work until your identity changes. Success is not something you try, it is something you become. That journey begins the moment you look in the mirror and say, "I will no longer live this way." Your life is waiting for you to finally decide. Not halfway, not when you feel like it, and not when it is convenient. Decide right now. Until you make that unshakable, soul-deep decision, you will stay trapped in the same loops, wishing and wondering. But the moment you decide, everything changes. You wake up differently. You move differently. You walk and talk like someone who has something to prove to nobody but themselves. That is the path of the 1%, and it is available to you the very second you stop playing small and choose to rise. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, this is the day you draw the line between the old you and the version of you that was meant to be born. The warrior you versus the excuse maker. The empire builder versus the broken version of you who will not be stopped. You know the truth now. It was never about luck. It was always about you versus you. So choose. Choose discomfort over regret. Choose growth over approval. Choose to become the person the world never saw coming. If this message shook something inside you, do not just walk away. Make a real decision right now. Leave a comment, share this with someone who needs the fire, and subscribe to this channel. Because here, we do not play with average. We build warriors. We turn silence into fire. And we wake up the version of you that no one is ready for, not even you. Thank you for being here. Now go and become the 1%. Your time has finally come.